U.S. unleashes a new round of strikes on Iran, raising concerns about the future of a ceasefire. It's time for the Streamline, everything you need to know in 10 minutes or less. Overnight, the U.S. shot down 4 attack drones near the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials call this move purely defensive, but it marks the second time in 3 days the U.S. has carried out strikes on Iran. The conflict is sending gas prices surging, now close to a 4-year high. The national average for a gallon of regular has reached $4.46. Drivers here in San Diego County are paying way more at the pump. $6.11 is where our prices stand this morning. But President Trump says that gas prices, the economy, it's not really his main focus.
Does that give you more urgency to make a deal?
The primary urgency is that we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. But at the same time, we have a tremendous amount of oil, gas, coal.
Oman is helping negotiate the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. It's that critical oil shipping route. Iranian state media reports that those two countries are collaborating on a new procedure for ships to pass through the waterway. President Trump, though, is rejecting the idea of any country controlling the strait. 11 people are now presumed dead following a chemical tank disaster at a Washington state pepper mill. More than 550,000 gallons of a toxic substance spilled when this tank ruptured in Longview on Tuesday. 2 workers are confirmed dead, 9 others are missing and presumed dead. The toxic substance is known as white liquor. It leaked also into the Columbia River, but the EPA says drinking water in the area is safe and the chemical has no effect on the river so far. Investigators are still working to find out what caused the tank to fail.
Here at home, a patient at Sharp Grossmont Hospital has been cleared of Ebola after a brief scare. The patient recently traveled to East Africa, where there is a deadly Ebola outbreak. The patient was showing some symptoms of the virus and was immediately isolated. Visitors had to wear masks and gloves inside the building on Tuesday, but after an evaluation, federal and local health officials ruled out the virus. In the South Bay, day 6 of the Larry Millete murder trial, jurors heard testimony from law enforcement about Larry and his wife Maya's vehicles, along with computer search history. Larry is accused of killing Maya back in 2021. Her body has never been found. I was in court for the morning session Wednesday. Chula Vista police officer testified the Lexus belonging to the Milletes was, quote, exceptionally clean on the night that police responded to a missing persons report at their home. The detective says Larry Millete also searched the internet for magic spells to control his wife Maya before she vanished. Larry denied any involvement in her disappearance or death.
A San Diego County health official has been arrested for a deadly hit-and-run crash in South Crest. 27-year-old Katie Osorio was struck and killed Friday while waiting at a bus stop. Police arrested a 41-year-old Asma Elayat. County officials confirmed she is a high-level county health executive and serves as the deputy director of self-sufficiency services for the last 2 years. Elayat faces vehicular manslaughter and hit-and-run charges. Osorio's cousin says she can't believe a health advocate would drive away from a crash.
I don't understand someone who advocates for the community in health specifically, like just not stop, like she is just evil.
The county released a statement saying they are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of life. We are still waiting to hear if Elayat was working at the time of the crash. This Saturday, Julian Guerrero, the teenage boy who was found dead in a pond nearly 2 weeks ago, will be laid to rest. But as ABC 10 News reporter Danny Miskell shares, his grieving mother still has so many questions, wondering if more could have been done to save her son.
Laura Guerrero Gomez holds the photo of her 15-year-old son, Julian, still trying to process how she lost him.
She's pretty much feeling destroyed at this point because we weren't taken serious from the beginning. He didn't deserve all that.
Laura and her son, Jose, asked us not to show their faces as they grieve. Jose translates for his mother.
She wants justice to be done. She doesn't want another family to go through what we went through.
Julian was first reported missing Thursday, May 14th. On Friday morning, I saw missing persons flyers for Julian being shared across social media. I then met up with neighbors scouring the South Bay looking for him. Hours later, San Diego police said they discovered the body of a Hispanic teenage boy in Fenton Pond. Laura says she was the one who found her son. She tells me a homeless man was seen riding Julian's bike. After asking where he got it, he led her to the area where Julian's body was recovered. Now, she questions how her son's case was handled.
The officer there, they want to help. They want to question the person that had the bike.
Laura says when she first reported Julian missing, she told police officers that her son was autistic, had a mental disability, and was even taking medication, making him especially vulnerable.
She wants to know why there was no urgency in looking for him. There was no Amber Alert. There was no helicopter trying to look for him. She had to do everything herself.
The family also has questions about how Julian ended up in the water.
He doesn't know that area. He doesn't like water, and he doesn't know how to swim.
Julian was positively ID'd by the medical examiner's office days after he was found dead. SDPD tells ABC 10 News their hearts go out to Julian's family. The department says their initial response was for a runaway juvenile. Officers checked areas Julian frequented, filed a report, and followed up with the family the next morning. Right now, SDPD says Julian's death is not being investigated as a homicide, but if the medical examiner rules otherwise, the case could be reopened. For Laura, she believes there's more to this story, especially because when she found her son, he was naked in the pond.
She definitely thinks that it wasn't accidental, that somebody did something to him.
Julian will be laid to rest here this Saturday at noon. His family has set up a GoFundMe to help with the sudden funeral expenses, and that link can be found in this story on 10news.com. In Chula Vista, Danny Miskell, ABC 10 News. The final round of public comment on Mayor Todd Gloria's proposed budget is in the books, and the San Diego arts community made one last push to try and save funding. More than 200 people packed City Hall Wednesday night. Gloria's latest proposal would cut nearly $12 million from arts funding. The move would eliminate city grants that many local organizations say they rely on to survive.
The funding that's so vital for all of us can be zeroed out is, I think, is just wrong.
These programs that are getting cut, Mayor Gloria, these are all the programs that generate revenue and bring in funding to our city nonstop. Like, it's part of the city's own strategic plan to make this a cultural destination.
City Council is expected to continue budget discussions over the next few days. Advocates say they will keep pushing for funding until a final decision is made in early June. And recently, ABC 10 News anchor Kimberly Hunt sat down with Mayor Gloria to discuss the changes he made from his initial budget. The conversation happened before the settlement on Balboa Park parking and trash fees. And this morning, we talk about an area he has made a priority, yet still made cuts to: the homeless issue.
So why is there a reduction when this is one of my priorities? Kimberly, sadly, our federal government has indicated that they no longer wish to fund many of the programs that we rely upon for funding for our homelessness response effort. The president's draft budget proposal zeroes out most of those programs. And unfortunately, also at the state level, the governor's draft budget reflects a 50% reduction in the funding that we use to pay for our homeless shelters. So we don't know what we'll get. Not both are conversations that are very active, much like our city budget. It could end up that it's very good. It could end up being very bad. But I have to make the best decisions I have with the limited information I have currently. So if we are going to get half the amount of money that we've historically received to fund this system, we have to be frugal, we have to be strategic, and we've got to make difficult choices. So this budget does envision some limited reductions to various programs to try and get basically a $4 million reduction in spend. That's out of roughly $100 million or so that we spend on our homelessness response effort. If we get more money from the state or federal government, great. We won't make those reductions, or we'll find some way to do some restorations. If those cuts are worse, we'll have to come back and deal with it. But the bottom line is what I did was ask our city staff, explain to the city council what each of these interventions cost, who is served by it, and what's the ROI, the return on investment. And you see that we have some homeless shelters that cost us maybe $25 a night to some that are more than $150 a night. And so as we try and figure out, okay, where can we do the most good for the most number of people, that's how we make that reduction, but hopefully try our level best to maintain the current service level and continue to get the good results in reducing the number of people who have to call the street the home.
Well, the full discussion is on our YouTube page. Later today, we'll hear about the differences in the budget process between last year and this year.
A San Diego teen's run at the Scripps National Spelling Bee has sadly come to an end, but we are just so proud of 14-year-old Benjamin Reinhardt and how far he went. He made it all the way to the 7th round on Wednesday, but then he misspelled the word lockage. That is Lochagee. I had to look it up. It means commander of a small Greek army division. So Lochage, fairly, right, Mel? You know Lochage?
I can't spell anything. I've gotten them all wrong.
Officially, Benjamin finished in 30th place out of about 250 spellers. So that's pretty good. Despite losing, Benjamin says he loved the experience.
I feel proud of myself that I was able to make it this far. I got farther than I thought I could. But I'm also just a little sad that I'm not in it anymore, that this opportunity's closed. But it was a great time. I met a lot of great people, so that's how I'm feeling.
I'm pretty impressed. And I said losing, but really the actual term is spelling out, because all the kids there are winners. Benjamin says now his younger sister plans to make a run at the Bee next year. Of course, this year's Bee isn't over. You can catch the finals tonight. That airs at 5 p.m. only on ION. That's your ABC 10 News Streamline. Everything you need to know today in under 10 minutes.